Hi, my name is Lisa, and my partner Noah and I studied the impacts of environment on degree of despotism in semi-free-ranging Japanese macaques. Our research centers on the social hierarchical system of the Japanese macaque, a social primate species that is native to mainland Japan and some of its surrounding islands. Primate societies have evolved social hierarchies where higher-ranking individuals gain better access to resources such as food and mating opportunities. Different primate groups have different methods of maintaining their social hierarchies. We categorize their level of hierarchical flexibility on a spectrum from tolerant to despotic. Tolerant-leaning hierarchies are typically seen in environments where cooperation is important for individual success. They are characterized by moderately high rates of low-intensity aggression, low rates of severe wounding, and a less linear dominance hierarchy. They also show higher rates of positive interactions such as huddling and grooming. In contrast, despotic leaning hierarchies are seen in environments where individuals gain benefits by competing against each other for access to resources. They are distinguished by high rates of wounding between individuals and a highly linear dominance hierarchy with infrequent interactions between individuals of different ranks. Although Japanese macaque groups are generally described as despotic leaning, primatologists Zhang and Watanabe have found that there are some groups that demonstrate more tolerant leaning behavior. Socioecological or environmental factors such as provisioning, sex ratio, and genetic isolation may influence this interspecies variation in dominant style. In order to assess our group's degree of tolerance, we compared our study population to the provision groups from Zhang and Watanabe's article. Our study group is comprised of 17 adult male Japanese macaques in a semi-free-ranging group at the Oregon National Primate Research Center, or ONPRC. These males were between 7 to 25 years of age and were identifiable by dye markings on their backs. We followed the methodology of the Zhang and Watanabe paper and calculated the mean rate of aggression per hour per individual, along with the standard deviation, using the 512.5 hours of behavioral data collected by our team to look at instances of and frequency of aggressive behaviors. This allowed us to conduct a preliminary comparison of our study population against the three populations in the Zhang and Watanabe paper. After analyzing the ONPRC data, we found that out of 32,800 vocals inputted, 115 were instances of aggression. This meant that the ONPRC group demonstrated a mean rate of 0.3 aggressive interactions per individual per hour, with a standard deviation of plus or minus 0.2. This is most directly comparable with the Shotoshima Island population, which also has a mean rate of 0.3 aggressive interactions per individual per hour and a standard deviation of plus or minus 0.2. Our preliminary results show a promising comparison between our study group at the ONPRC and the tolerant leaning Shotoshima group. However, further comparisons between these populations are necessary to determine our study group's degree of tolerance. We plan to measure the intensity and frequency of wounding, percentage of active time grooming, and frequency of positive interactions. Some theorize that intraspecies differences in dominance style can also be attributed to varying degrees of nepotism in each group. More despotic-leaning groups promote high nepotism or kin support, whereas more tolerant-leaning groups promote higher non-kin support. Both the ONPRC and Shotoshima Island groups have been genetically isolated for multiple generations, resulting in higher degrees of interrelatedness, which could explain their tolerant-leaning behaviors. The high variation in dominant styles seen in these Japanese macaque groups indicates that dominant styles are environment-specific rather than species-specific. This supports previous evolutionary research into the conditions which favor the evolution of social bonds.